he's got the Arab world on board, and he's got the agreement of Netanyahu himself. He's close to getting something over the line.
Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly.
I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Joe Kelly is the Australian's correspondent in Washington, D.C. Joe, we heard Donald Trump talking in characteristically grandiose terms about peace for eternity here. What's the mood, do you think, in Washington, D.C. about this outcome?
He was talking in characteristically Trumpian terms, saying that this could be a forever and eternal peace. But I think what he's getting at is that this is the big political solution, really, to the Israel-Hamas conflict. This was the missing piece of the puzzle, which policymakers have been searching for a long time. So Trump feels that he's brought all the relevant parties together. We understand that at the moment Hamas has the comprehensive peace plan. They're reviewing it. What they decide will be very important at the end of the day. But essentially, this plan is important because it would see an immediate end to the war and then a rebuild process for Gaza. So Trump, ever the salesman and optimist, is selling this hard.
If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately.
I think there's a sense that this actually could go somewhere. I think Donald Trump wants to ensure as best he can that it does go somewhere. It has all the necessary conditions built into the framework, the terms and conditions of this proposal that would seem to make it effective if Hamas comes on board. Most important, though, is that this is effectively a negotiated surrender for Hamas. So on the one hand, Hamas has to come to the table, they have to disarm, and they have to accept that there is no ongoing role for them governing in Gaza. So this is it, and there's an incentive in there for members of Hamas who recognize peaceful coexistence with Israel to be given amnesty. And on the other side of the equation, there's a recognition that there'll be no annexation of Gaza by Israel. So I think Donald Trump is trying to be, in his own way, as diplomatic as he possibly can be to try and ensure this deal goes ahead. And we know that Donald Trump genuinely thinks that he is the big peace bringer. This is the legacy, above all legacies, that he wants to leave behind from his time as President of the United States. So he has personally a lot riding on this, and he thinks obviously if he's able to land this, it's going to look really good for him. And of course, we all know he is interested in trying to get that Nobel Peace Prize. So if he does land it, obviously he'll think that his stock has been raised significantly.
At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together.
Let's talk about what Israel's got to give and what Israel gets. So Israel has agreed to release 250 Palestinian life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7. In return, Israel gets the release of all the hostages, dead and alive, who remain in Gaza. But Israel also gets the war aims of Benjamin Netanyahu, the dismantlement of Hamas, the exclusion of Hamas from a future government of Gaza, really the exclusion also of the Palestinian Authority at this stage, Joe, and Israel retaining control of the perimeter of Gaza, maintaining a kind of security cordon. This looks like a big win for Benjamin Netanyahu to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's essentially right, Claire. The thing that struck me is in this entire plan, there's a vague reference at the end to the steps necessary to obtaining a two-state solution, but there's no placing the two-state solution at the top of the to-do list here, which is the opposite of what countries like Australia and other countries in Europe have done. So at the initial steps here, Claire, the Palestinian Authority is not a return to Gaza with political control. In fact, one of the interesting parts of this deal is that, in a strange way, Donald Trump is in charge of Gaza himself. There is a apolitical committee that's been charged with the day-to-day duties of running Gaza, but it's overseen by a new peace board. And of course, the chair of the new peace board is Donald Trump himself. So Donald Trump, in a way, is taking control of Gaza and will have a say in how this process unfolds. And that might have been actually a key factor in getting Benjamin Netanyahu on board. And in fact, the Israel Defense Forces, they don't withdraw immediately. It's a phased withdrawal. There is an international stabilization force that will immediately come in, backed by the United States and an alliance of other countries, including Arab nations. And there'll be milestones and a checklist which will need to be met before Israel withdraws and before Israel is willing to see any relinquishment of this international peace board, which Donald Trump is a part of, which Tony Blair is going to be a part of. So this has been managed in such a way to meet the Israeli conditions, but also to meet those conditions in a way that the Arab world might be able to accept them. So it's trying to bring together Israel and the Arab world. So I think that's sort of the best analysis at the moment. But again, all this is going to depend on what Hamas actually decides to do, because Benjamin Netanyahu made it very clear in his press conference that if Hamas rejects the deal, it's more of the same, and he's prepared to go it alone without the rest of the international community.
If Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.